So in the course, I've tried to give you various harmonic resources, trying to give ideas for a composer looking to expand their own vocabulary, find their own harmonic style. Okay? These various resources, there are many others as well, but these are some of the important ones. Okay? None of these techniques in themselves makes music good or bad. Okay? None of them is good or bad in itself. It really depends on how you use them in musical ways. So a little bit of advice. Number one, no one technique is better or worse than any other. All of them depend on being used in musical ways. Focus on what's audible. Listen to your ear. No system or harmonic technique will make good music without careful, repeated listening by the composer. Your ear is always the best judge. Ultimately, a real composer will end up finding the kind of harmony which pleases him or her. Okay, just everybody, we all have our own taste. There's certain things we like and don't like. And a real composer, those preferences will dictate the kind of sound that you're going to be aiming for. I gave this course for many years in university. The class would maybe be 15, 20 people, all taking the course at the same time. The final assignment was always to do an example of eclectic harmony. In other words, a piece combining, like what I did here, several kinds of harmony in succession. The interesting thing is that in all the years, I never got two people who used the same combination of two or three kinds of harmony. One person might do modal and intervallic. Somebody else might do serial and linear. You had all kinds of combinations. In other words, everybody has preferences, and those preferences are really what give you your own style in the long run. It's good to use these kind of exercises and these sorts of harmony as experiments. In other words, they will help you get familiar with new things and take you out of your comfort zone long enough to sort of get used to something. But it's important to give a little bit of time, aim at fluency. In other words, one exercise usually isn't enough. It's better to do several exercises than just one. Quantity counts, like learning a language or harmony or counterpoint. One or two exercises is not enough. So aim to do enough of each kind of harmony that you get comfortable with it, and then you'll see whether you really like using it. And after that, you see whether it becomes part of your style or not. Don't forget, in any harmonic style, certain things are always necessary. You need to have variety of harmonic tension and density. Without that, it's just gray. You need to have different degrees of punctuation because the human mind is not made to take in extremely long tracts of music with no punctuation. Also, another essential is voice leading. There's a lot of research that's been done in psychology which show us that the way we hear things and the way we make sense of the sound world has a lot to do with register. A really important book is Auditory Scene Analysis by Albert Bregman. And he's asking the question, how can we make sense, let's say, of the fact that when we're walking on a street and there's sound of cars and there's other people talking, if we're talking to our friend, we can still keep track of the conversation and manage to tune out all the other stuff. And a big part of the answer is register. Things that are in the same register and in more or less the same rhythm tend to be perceived as coming from the same source. That's the reason why voice leading in music is so important. If voice leading is smooth, you can lead almost anything to almost anything else. If the voice leading moves around too much, it becomes much harder for the listener to make sense of the whole thing. One last point. All these harmonic techniques can get quite complex. Be aware that contrast effects are often much more powerful than using extremely dense harmony all the time. In other words, having a short passage, let's say in simple modal harmony, and then one or two bars of a big polyharmony is usually more effective and more dramatic than having a lot of everything all the time. That's the reason why all these harmonic techniques consist essentially in limiting harmonic material, and think also of saving certain kinds of harmony or certain special chords for special moments in the form. That is probably the single most important tool, and it's stronger than any single technique by itself. So when you're combining kinds of harmony within the same piece, make a point of reserving certain things for special moments instead of using everything all the time. I hope this course has been useful to you. Thank you very much.